Hi everybody, good evening. I took a shower, was getting ready for bed, and then realized that I had sourdough starter that I had put to the side to make sourdough blueberry muffins with. So I pulled out everything because this is not necessary. Well, it is starter, but it's the discard, right? Which is the same thing as starter. So I'm not really sure what the difference is between a discard and a starter because it's all the same thing unless you're actually storing it in your refrigerator for later on down the road. Either way, I don't discard anything. I feed the starter every day, and that's what it is. And then for this particular situation where I'm baking, I will add the amount of flour and water that I know that I'm going to need for the recipe. So this, I'm going to follow the recipe from Farmhouse on Boone. It is her sourdough blueberry muffin recipe. I guess let's just jump in. I'm going to double this recipe because I have enough of everything to do so. And yeah, I'll probably be up till 1 o'clock in the morning, but you know what? At least it'll be done, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, tomorrow, which I could easily do, but let me just get it done now and just be done with it. Okay, so one recipe calls for 2 cups of flour. Because I'm doubling the recipe, it's going to be 4. I do have, let's see, what is this, a half cup measuring cup in here, so that's annoying, but it is what it is. This is a 1 cup, and again, I know I'm not spooning in and leveling. I am scooping out of the container, which I know is not, it's not right, okay? But again, not a professional baker here, so I'm not worried about it. Also, I've made these muffins before, and they're honestly so good, and this is how I've done it. So hopefully I don't mess them up this time, but you know, I might. Okay, so there's our flour. 2 cups of flour is what the recipe calls for one batch. It also calls for 1 cup of sugar. Again, I didn't wipe off my measuring cup before I put it in the sugar. Gasps, I know. So it calls for 1 cup. Because I'm doubling, I'm going to go 2. Okay. Salt, you know I skipped the salt. I don't like to add salt to baked goods, even though it brings out the flavor. I'm not about that flavor. I can taste salt in everything, so I absolutely cannot stand it. Baking powder, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So I will be doing 4. These are just the dry ingredients. 1, this is powder, right? Yeah. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, there's the baking powder. So that we're done with that. And baking soda I need to get out, and cinnamon, 1 teaspoon. So because we're doubling, I'm gonna do 2. And I am about in need of cinnamon replacement. This has me nervous because I don't want to put too much. Okay, so there's 1 teaspoon, and here's 2. All right, 2 teaspoons. And then this, I'm going to whisk together just to mix all this. But first I need to get the baking powder. So hold on a second. Okay. And baking powder, I needed to get the baking soda, which is exactly what I got. And it's almost done for too. So I have 2 more boxes of this in the pantry that I can open up. It calls for a half teaspoon of baking soda. Here's 1 teaspoon, which is what I need because I'm doubling the batch. Okay, let's get a whisk and whisk it up. Whisk it up, whisk it up, whisk it up. And this is, again, just the dry ingredients. Because it's so late, it's already 10 o'clock. Because it's so late, I'm going to go ahead and just put all my wet ingredients in here. No, actually, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. Okay, so I'm not going to do that because if this was a recipe without sourdough starter, I would totally do that. Because it has sourdough starter, I'm not going to do that because if you do not mix your sourdough starter with your wet ingredients prior to mixing them in with your dry ingredients, there is a tendency for it to clump up and hold on to flour. So when you take a bite, there could be a chunk of flour in there, which is not anything I want, nor anyone else who is potentially eating these muffins. At this point, I might do loaves. I don't know. We might just do everything to fill pans real quick. Whatever gets rid of the batter fastest. Okay. So I'll need 2 sticks of butter because I'm doubling the recipe. It calls for 1, but I'm going to double. 2 large eggs is what it calls for 1. A half a cup of starter, so I'm going to need a full cup of starter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which you know I'll pour from the heart anyway, so of course it'll be way more than that. Blueberries, I'm going to use all of these regardless of it being more than it calls for because it's a blueberry muffin and I love extra blueberries, right? Warm it up in the morning, put butter on it, huzzah, chef's kiss, amazing. And then all right, and I think I'm going to actually just do that in one of the bowls that the starter's already in. But first, I am going to turn on the oven. This recipe is unique too. It wants us to start cooking them at 425 for 5 minutes. Then after those 5 minutes, you decrease the temperature on the oven to 350 maybe and cook it for an extra 15. I will link this recipe below. Highly encourage you to try it. And actually all the recipes on her website are truly amazing, so definitely give it a go. But I am going to turn on the oven to 425 right now so that that's kind of ready. Okay, so that's warming up now. I have 2 bowls of discard its starter here. Ooh, it's hungry. I'm glad I didn't wait till tomorrow because honestly it would have probably, I don't know, would have looked sketchy, but it did have a lid on it last night, so it is looking a little, I don't know. It looks okay, honestly. The amount that's there is probably perfect. But I'm going to go ahead and stir this up, measure out a full cup of it. I think I'm going to combine this too. My trusty spatch. And let me just get this all into one. Yeah, I have way more than a cup. So I might even be able to, no, I can't do that tonight. I'm not going to be able to stay awake for all this to cook. That's the problem. Okay, so you saw how it was bubbly. It's important to mix it down a little bit so that it becomes more incorporated into itself for the recipes. This one is actually a pretty dry starter. You saw how it snapped apart like that. So honestly, it'll still be okay. But you can see right here. Do you see how it does that? It should actually be a little bit more liquidy than that. I am not going to add water to this. This is honestly a good consistency to make an actual loaf. This is how you want your starter to be. But it's going to be perfectly fine. You know, except for the person who bites into a chunk of flour. That's the person that's not going to be so happy about it. And honestly, I should have done this reverse. So let me actually put the starter back into the pink bowl because I will just put all of my wet ingredients into the white one and then I don't have to clean as many bowls. Okay. There we go. All right. So I need 1 cup of starter. I have my measuring cup here. The recipe calls for ½ cup for a single batch. Like I said, I'm doing a double. So we need a full cup, which is this pink measuring cup here. So actually, yay, that's going to use up almost all of it. So that's going to be perfect for me because I really don't want to deal with this. I feel like when Mondays come, I definitely get Sunday scaries. I feel like, oh God, not a sense of dread. I love my job. I should say I love the work I do. But you know, you go from having your nice relaxed weekend. I'm like, you guys don't all have nice relaxed weekends to going back to work, and I wish I could just stay home with my dogs. You know, like, is that too much to ask for? I'm gonna need to melt down my butter, but while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and do my 4 eggs. Whoa. You know, I had to leave the house today to get these eggs. And whoa, I went to Aldi. I don't know if you have an Aldi by you, but if you do, go there because Honestly, their price on especially berries right now, super, super incredible. I bought, I actually just got done canning a bunch of blueberry stuff, and the these were $2, 2.40, 2.48, I think 2.50 each. And this is, what size is this? That is 1 whole pint. So this is bigger than the usual like half pint situations that they usually have. I'm going to keep using this spatula as much as I can. I'm going to mix this starter now with the eggs because that is the first thing that I have included. This is probably not the best tool, but you know what? Again, at 10 o'clock at night, just starting 2 batches of muffins, especially when I only use my toaster oven to bake. And I can only bake a dozen at a time versus the ovens where I can probably do, we have double ovens, which I don't like to do. They heat up the house, and then we have gas ovens, and I'm kind of sensitive to that smell, so I don't really like to use those. Again, from the heart, it should be 2 teaspoons. I probably just did 1.5 tablespoons. Okay, so there's our vanilla. I love the smell of vanilla. I just love vanilla. Name a baked good that does not taste good with vanilla. Oh, here it is. I was gonna say this might have to be a batch for me only because I have dogs and I found a hair. But it'll just be a batch for my family, so none of us will care because I feel like there's dog hair in all of our food, right? Anybody else have dogs? Get a bunch of dog hair in their food? It's kind of gross, but I feel like it's like people with kids, right? They're more willing to clean their kids' noses with their bare fingers, and that absolutely horrifies me. All right, so this is looking good, nice and mixed. It doesn't look like I have any chunks of starter anywhere, so that's good. Let me get out a measuring cup for butter to melt that down. We'll add that into here. Then we'll add the wet to the dry, mix that up a bunch, and then we'll fold in the blueberries. And that will be it. We'll be ready to bake. All right. Okay, so again, like the recipe calls for 8 tablespoons per batch. There are 8 tablespoons in 1 stick of butter. So, or a 1/4 cup. We had, there's the oven ready to be started. I feel like the summer brings in just all the pests, it's just all the darn pests. The flies come back, and I can't stand the flies. We also just had, what did I have over here? I had an orange in the fruit bowl. When I emptied it, it was completely moldy. And so I had fruit flies, and that just absolutely drives me nuts. So I cleaned everything, and now I still have a few that are still lingering. Okay, let me microwave this, then we'll mix it up, okay? Okay, so I put this in the microwave for I think about 40 seconds, and it completely melted it down. Granted, my butter was at room temperature, but this recipe does call for melted butter, which is why, obviously, I melted it. Oop, there was a chunk there. It's okay. And this could probably be whisked at this point. Let's get this all incorporated, mixed in. I can smell butter and vanilla, which of course is fantastic, right? Okay, so that kind of looks like a cake batter, which, you know, it's not mixed with anything yet. It's going to get thicker. Here's our dry, here's our wet. We're going to mix them. I know, not how it should be, but listen, at 10 p.m., you're going to do what you can to make it edible and so that you can hopefully get some sleep, especially for a Monday. Okay. What do I want to use? I think I will keep using this. And I have this all over my fingers. All right, so we're gonna get this stirred up.
Here I am mixing. Beep ba dop bop ba doop boop. Beep bop 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 bop. Mix a mix a mix a mix a mix a. Looking a little thick.
This is probably the point where I should be stirring in my blueberries. But there's a lot of dry batter still. Did I get everything? Cinnamon, butter, eggs, starter. Yeah, I did. Okay. I can tell the bottom of the bowl is a little bit dry. And I did not over measure. Okay, if anything, I under measured my dry ingredients. Now I'm gonna dump in 2 full containers of the blueberries, the full pints. I don't know how many cups are in a pint, but I'm just gonna pour them. Okay, and these all look good. Honestly, it's probably 2 cups too many, but are there really too many? Are there really too many? I don't think so. Okay, so here's our batter. Here's our blueberries. Let's fold those in. Also, the recipe does tell you, which I didn't know this until I started using this recipe, that if you coat your berries or even chocolate chips in flour before you mix it into the batter, it'll help prevent them from sinking to the bottom when you bake. I don't have a problem with that today because I know these are not for anybody outside of my family. And so it doesn't bother me. If it was for somebody outside of my family, that's when I'd make sure that the blueberries are pretty equally distributed. But I don't, if they're at the bottom or not, it doesn't bother me because I end up cutting them in half, microwaving them, and putting butter on them, like I said. So, and we don't use huge muffins. We use regular muffins. So, depending on the kind of bite you want to take, you could potentially eat the whole muffin in 2 bites if you wanted to. But the actual muffin batter for this is good. So it, ideally, of course, you want a blueberry in every bite or multiple. But I'm tempted to use my hands right now. Okay. Okay. I'm going to leave this as is. I will add more blueberries to containers or whatever that might need more. Okay, so I actually did pull these ones down. I think I'm gonna go for a smaller, for the smaller ones. Can I fit 2 of these next to each other in the toaster oven? Let me try. Yes, I can. My air fryer is just wide enough to fit 2. So, like I've used before, Baker's Joy, that's what I'm gonna spray these with. I'm not obviously going to use paper for these today. If I was making them for other people, I definitely would. Honestly, I'm going to end up with so many, I'm going to end up freezing a lot of them. So it's okay that there's no paper on them. Jesus. I feel like I end up inhaling that stuff. All right. Where is my favorite scooper? My biggest scooper. Not this. Okay, this is going to have to work. This is not the one I'm looking for, but it's going to be the one that I use. All right, so I can see here this batter. I don't know, this is real thick. Yeah, it just feels real thick. I don't remember it being this thick, but it probably was. Every other time I've made these, I have done it at work. We have a full kitchen at work, and so I will make the batter at work, and people have fresh muffins in the morning, which has been a little bit of a morale booster, which has been kind of nice. Okay. I also don't typically use these ones at work. I'll use actually those red ones. They're a little bit bigger though. You can see this batter is not, it's thick. It's a thick type of batter. I don't know if I remember it being like that. Maybe. I feel like it's like almost a cookie batter, a little bit.
Okay, so hear me out. The batter was not right. This is me next day after I tried one, and there's something wrong with it. And I'm going to blame it on the sourdough starter because it was so dry. The muffins were kind of dry. Completely edible, just not as good as they usually are. So definitely make sure your starter is not dry when you make these muffins, but otherwise they're fine.
Okay, both pans are now, or pans, what are these? Molds? They're silicone. They're silicone molds. Both molds are ready to go into the oven. So we're starting out at 425 for 5 minutes. Then I'm going to turn the temperature down to, what is it? 350 for 15. In my experience with this particular recipe, that is not enough time, the 15 minutes. So I'll continue baking. I'll let you know the exact amount of time it takes. But for now, we'll start with that guideline because I haven't written down how long it actually takes. I'm going to pop these in the oven. I'll see you back soon. Okay, so I have the first batch or the first 2 trays of muffins in the oven. I am going to scoop out the rest so that way I can clean up, have everything in the dishwasher, put away, and all I have to do is just turn the muffins out onto the cooling racks, and hopefully it won't be as late of a night as it could be. I almost forgot to check the time that I put those in at. So, all right, so just like the first ones. Woo! Okay, we're throwing things now. We're throwing things. It's like Bobby Flay in here. Or Emerald. Emerald is this.
Okay, but listen up. Spraying this Baker's Joy is great because it works so well, but honestly, inhaling it could kill you.
I held my breath the entire time I sprayed because I don't like the smell of that. All right. I don't know if we're gonna fill these up or what we're gonna do, but we're gonna put batter into muffin cups is what we're gonna do.
Okay, but hear me out. Here I am scooping, scoop-a-looping, scoop-a-dooping, also talking to you, probably talking about the amount of blueberries that are ending up in all of these muffins because they're not sticking to the batter correctly because it wasn't moist enough. But again, they turned out fine. But here we are continuing to scoop and a scoop and a scoop and a scoop. I ended up with 10 of these round ones and 6, 12, a dozen of the squares. But don't you worry, little tushy, because all the ones that were in the bowl, I shoved on top.
Oh, I have a runaway blueberry. Okay, so all the blueberries are now, not the blueberries, all the muffins are now in a mold. I was going to do the little ones for my niece, but no. I love her dearly. We will make strawberry pies on Thursday together. And so this I do not need to save for her, even though I will give her square ones or something. But I do not have time to go through and do 16 mini heart-shaped muffins. That's her signature mold. I bake everything in here for her. perfect, probably 3 or 4 bite sizes for her. She's 3. And her mommy packs those for her to go to daycare. All right, I am going to clean up, wait for those, cook, bake, do all the things, and we'll see what comes next. Yeah? We'll see.
So here they are baking, and you can kind of see the shape is not right, and they're a little bit dry on top. But overall, again, like I've said twice, they're okay.
Okay, so as you can see, I took the first batch out of the oven. I'm going to take the knife. I already did it on this one, but I'm going to take the knife and go around the edges so that way when I go to pop them out, they pop out a little easier, even though I sprayed, because the berries do have a tendency to get sticky.
Going around the edge like this really made them pop out nice and easy once they were done. And I didn't even wait till they were cool. They just popped right on out, which is another reason I love silicone.
Okay, so the second batch still has a little bit of time left. I'm going to go ahead and flip these ones out of their molds, tins, pans, whatever you want to call these. And look at all that blueberry there. Can you see that? Oops. That is a very blueberry muffin. That's fun. Okay, let's go on and flip these ones out. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that one got a smashed bloob. Look at that. All I did was touch it. My finger's covered in blueberry. This is the kind of blueberry I don't mind, you know? Lots of. Oh, God, that hurt. That's still hot. Okay. Not the prettiest looking ones I've made, but they're going to be tasty, just as tasty as the rest. All right. I'm going to clean these up, wait for those other ones to finish cooking. And then it'll be time for bed. All right. So these are just about ready to come out. These are probably the perfect temperature to eat. And this 2 batches, these are bigger than a regular cupcake or a regular muffin. So this, I would say it's comparable to like the Starbucks size muffin, not your everyday cupcake. So the scoops are pretty big. So yeah. Oh, there we go. Call in. Let's get those out. Okay. So here these are. Looking okay. These look better, I think, than the squares, but this was the first time I did squares. I'll probably do it again. All right, I'm going to take the knife, go around the circles, and probably pop them out too early so they'll break in half, but I want to go to bed. All right, let's take the good old knife around. These ones were heavy on the blueberries, so I'm interested to see what the bottoms of these actually looks like. The knife's going around pretty easy. So I love that spray too. Baker's Joy. Easy. Makes everything easy. That one just turned on its own. Okay, let's do these 4. And that one turned too. Okay. Okay, let's do the good old flip. Let's see how these come out. A little squeeze. Beautiful. Beautiful. Got a little, oh gosh, was I leaning on a blueberry? No, I don't know where that came from though. Maybe the knife. All right. These are beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, I won't do that. I'll save you from my singing, especially when I'm making up my own songs. Hot. Ooh, look at this one. This one is all blueberry. I don't know if you can see that. Let me try to hold it up there. I don't know if you can see it. It's like all blueberry. All blueberry. Okay, let's turn these over. Oh, this one doesn't want to stay. Oh, I see why. Lots of blueberry in that one. Lovely, lovely. This is the one I was talking about. Look at that one. You can completely see the whole bottom is blueberries. I'm okay with it. I'm sure most people would be.